live.
Good morning, Edmonton. Good morning, world. Welcome to the pilot episode of our new program, PMAA, Meet the Press. We are broadcasting live here from the Palabok House restaurant in Edmonton. My name is Hermo Pagtakhan, your program host for today. Canada is in the middle of a federal election campaign, and we, the people, will be voting on September 20, 2021. Part of PMAA's mandate is to provide a venue for candidates so as to inform us of their platforms and advocacies. So between now and shortly before the election, we will be inviting and interviewing candidates as they are available. Now, knowledge is power. The more we know about the candidates and the parties' platforms and advocacies, the more we are in a better position to make informed choices and intelligent decisions on who to vote for. With us today is our special guest, the Honorable Kelley McCauley. He is running for re-election for the third time in Edmonton, in the Edmonton West constituency. Mr. McCauley, good morning, sir. Welcome to the PMAA Meet the Press.
Well, thank you very much. Kumusta? Magandang umaga.
Magandang umaga rin, Kelley. That means good morning, everyone. Now, Kelley, before I start grilling you, please give us a brief introduction so that the audience will know something about yourself.
Of course, thank you, Herman. And I'm very pleased to be the guinea pig, the very first guest on your show. I look forward to seeing other candidates for the municipal election, but also the federal election, appear to hear their views as well. So thanks very much for having me. My name is Kelley McCauley. As Herman mentioned, I'm the Member of Parliament for Edmonton West. So I've been the Member of Parliament for Edmonton West since 2015. This will be my third election. Live in West Edmonton with my wife and one of my kids. My other child just moved out east to school, so we're running out of kids in my house, unfortunately, right now. Grew up in the hospitality industry in hotels and restaurants across the country, from Victoria to Newfoundland and everywhere in between. Third time living in Edmonton. Also have a background in senior care. Past time I was president of a hospital foundation with 6 hospitals for seniors and severely handicapped. And it was a big impetus for me to run for election to see, I've seen how we treat our seniors and vulnerable in some of our hospitals and realized we need stronger advocacy and more work in caring for them. And it's a big reason I ran for Member of Parliament. Rona Ambrose, who was health minister at the time, I was working with her and I used to nag her a lot about some senior issues, and she told me to put my money where my mouth is and run and step up, and so I have, and it's been a pleasure and an honor serving the people of Edmonton West and Alberta for the past 6 years, and I hope I can continue to do so after September 20th.
Thank you very much, Kelley. Let's cut the chase. Let's go straight to the point. One of the most contentious issues nowadays is public health care. My question to you is it true that your party is considering privatizing public health care?
Yeah, absolutely not. It's kind of a drive-by slur from another party claiming that we're fully committed, I'm fully committed to publicly delivered health care. In fact, our party platform calls for a $60 billion increase in healthcare spending over the next 10 years, the largest increase within during our generation of healthcare spending. So we're 100% committed to increasing money for the provinces for healthcare, but 100% publicly funded.
That's good to hear, Kelley. Let's go to economy and job creation. Yeah. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a devastating effect on the economy and many businesses, including those that are in Alberta. How does your party intend to invigorate the economy without relying on raising taxes or increasing the deficit, budget deficit?
No, it's a good point. COVID has obviously had a devastating effect, especially in the restaurant and hospitality industry and retail and service industries. And we have to focus on that. Our party has various platform items. One of them is the Rebuild Main Street, where we will provide tax incentives for investments into businesses. We'll provide low cost or no cost loans up to $200,000. The current business loan is capped at $60,000. We will expand that to $200,000 to help businesses get through. We're also going to do a wage subsidy, which will continue after the current wage subsidy ends, at 25% for 4 months. But we'll also have a higher wage subsidy for those who have been out of work for 6 months. What we've seen, if the longer you're out of work, the more difficult it is to return to the workforce. So we're going to create added incentives to help those who've been out of the workforce for a long time. And a big thing for the restaurants and hotels, which have been hurt harder than anyone else, we are going to do a program for dine-in meals for Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, where we will provide a subsidy to 50% of the meal. So people will come into the restaurants, we will take care of half the bill for food for in-room or in-restaurant service. Restaurants, hundreds of thousands of jobs have lost, investments have been ruined. We need to jumpstart the restaurant and hospitality business. The government of England did it. It was spectacularly successful to help our restaurants get back on their feet, like this fabulous one here.
Yes.
So we'll provide help for Mondays to Wednesdays.
Well, that's great to know, Kelley. Now, you've been involved with seniors, right? Let me go to cost of living due to inflation. The cost of living is getting out of hand, making life unaffordable for seniors, on fixed incomes and lower income Canadians. Does your party have a plan to address this issue?
Yeah, the seniors have been hurt obviously by inflation. Inflation, we call it like a hidden tax. We've seen under this current government, inflation's the highest in decades. I think last month it was 3.7%. So it's eating away at people's ability to pay bills. Food costs, of course, through the roof. Gas has gone up, transportation costs, housing has gone up considerably. So we have a multi-tier plan to address that. For seniors specifically, if you've got family living at home over the age of 70, we will provide financial help. So if you're caring for your parents or grandparents at home, we know seniors living at their homes is the best way for them to have an enjoyable life with dignity, but it keeps them stronger and healthier. So we're going to provide financial help to families that way. We're going to crack down on the big grocery companies who have, in the past, we've seen colluding on pricing of bread to push the price of bread up. We're going to massively increase the fines for those. We're going to give more strength to the Competition Bureau so they can go after companies who are perhaps colluding. And we're going to force a lot more transparency onto the banks, both with investment costs. We're also going to allow better flexibility with some of the new banking services that are coming aboard, so you're not just stuck with one type of credit card. We'll allow
options.
A lot more competition, a lot more options, so
options.
people can access the low-cost credit cards and other financing.
And the rates will be competitive, of course.
Yes, of course. Yep.
Now, let's go to housing. You've been involved with housing as well, Kelley. Now, cities all over Canada, including Edmonton, are facing a homeless crisis, compounded by the pandemic. Short-term and traditional housing is becoming more expensive. What is your commitment for providing housing for everyone, Kelley?
Well, our plan is to build 1 million new houses over the next few years. One of the biggest problems we have with our housing is there's a strong demand, but there's no increase in supply. Too much regulation, too much cost added on. So we're going to address that. The Government of Canada is the largest landowner and largest building owner in the country. We are going to free up, transfer some of those buildings over to use for housing. We're going to create a financial incentives for people to invest in purpose rent housing so that we can build more rental housing.
Yes, rental units.
Yeah, we're going to ban foreign ownership for a couple of years, and go after the money laundering. we see in some cities like Vancouver where money is being laundered into the city through the real estate and is pushing up prices and make it completely unaffordable for Canadians. We're also going to push toward allowing 7 to 10 year mortgages so families have certainty with their mortgage. And the big thing we're also going to do is with the stress test. Currently, if you're, say, with Bank of Montreal and your mortgage ends, you are quite often stopped from, because of the stress test, able to shop your mortgage to perhaps Royal Bank or TD. So you're stuck with perhaps a higher rate at Bank of Montreal. We're going to change that so you can have portability from your mortgage from one bank to the next without having to reapply for the stress test. And this will allow better flexibility for Canadians, but allow them to shop for the best mortgage as opposed to being stuck only with one bank. And you know full well if the bank knows they have you locked in and trapped, they're not offering you the best rate possible. We're going to put an end to that.
Well, that gives some comfort to the ordinary Canadians then. Another controversial matter for discussion is equalization of payments. Kelley, can you enlighten us what your party's plan is to fix the unfair equalization program?
Equalization for Albertans are probably about as popular as the Calgary Flames are in Edmonton. Equalization is, of course, was started 70, 80 years ago. And what happens is because Alberta is a relatively wealthy province and we have higher incomes, a lot of our taxes is transferred out east. And there's an imbalance between the amount of money the federal government spends out east in Quebec and here in Alberta. So there's a process called the Fiscal Stabilization Fund, which is meant to help provinces when their revenues drop. But the current system has it capped at a certain amount, $60 per person. We are going to change that cap to allow more money to come in for the the stabilization. We're also going to backdate it to 2015, make it retroactive when we had the revenue fall from the oil drop. Alberta is very generous. We don't mind helping out, but when we're in times of trouble like we are now,
you have to take care of us.
Federation is supposed to help us and not continue to just take our money and transfer it out east. So in our plan, this year alone, we will receive an extra $5 billion. So that's $5 billion that can go to provincial health care, our schools, and a lot of other funding in the province. Misericordia, for example, is $1 billion to rebuild in our riding.
Wow.
This will be enough to build 5 new hospitals just in the first year. So it's something that will bring fairness to Albertans.
Well, very well said, Kelley. Another matter that is of very increased interest, especially to visible minorities, right? Including the Filipinos, is the matter of immigration. Now, how does your party intend to address immigration sensibly and rationally?
Well, we're a country of immigrants. Our party believes very much we need more Canadians, more immigrants. I always tease my friends in the Filipino community that they're Canadians just born in the wrong island and they should be here. But we need immigrants. Our country is aging. Our population is aging. So we support a very robust immigration program, but it has to be fair and it has to be sped up. We have a massive backlog for family reunification. Our wives, brothers, sisters, children, it takes years to bring them over, and we need to address that. We need to fix that so that a new Canadian comes over can reunite their family faster. Families are the building block of our entire community. If we do not have our families together, our communities suffer. So we need to work on that. Right now, it's many, many year backlog. It's only gotten worse and worse in the last 6 years. So we're going to focus on reducing the timeline and just making it a lot faster. And we also have to create a better pathway for temporary foreign workers, easier to transition into PR, and then we have to immediately be able to start the process of reuniting their families. And on the other side, we also have to give the government stronger powers to go after employers who are abusing the temporary foreign workers. I was fortunate, I worked in a company that cared, and we actually helped our temporary foreign workers transition to PR, we supported them, helped pay for some of the fees. But there's a lot of companies out there that took advantage of new workers, temporary foreign workers especially. We've got to really crack down on those companies, those who are abusing the workers. To end that, we need to protect the workers and protect newer Canadians, especially those who are vulnerable.
Well, thanks, Kelley. Related to immigration and an issue that concerns also mostly the immigrants is recognition of foreign credentials.
Right.
Now, far too many new Canadians, especially from our community, the Filipino community, are working in jobs, below their skill level because of lack of recognition of their valid certifications from abroad. We have doctors, specialists, engineers, that should be doing the jobs that are in line with their careers.
100%.
But sadly and unfortunately, they cannot and they do not because of this issue of foreign credentials. We want to hear what you can say about this.
And it's a big problem. It's the stereotype of a doctor from India driving a cab because his credentials are not recognized. Conservative Party, we know it's a drag on the economy, but it also is a discrimination against newcomers, and we're going to fix that. As soon as, if we're elected, we're going to set up what we call a Foreign Credentials Task Force to start the process of working with other countries to recognize their credentials. I'm at an age now where I have to go get blood tests every year, and I go to Dynalife, and it's, all the ladies taking the blood are Filipina, fully trained registered nurses who are not able to practice and participate in the economy properly because we're not doing a job recognizing their credentials. And we see this through all the communities, from Pakistan, from India, from Kenya, but especially from the Philippines as well. We're holding people back, and it's always been kind of a very subtle discrimination against newcomers.
Yes.
And we need to fix that. It's not helping our economy one bit. It's not helping newcomers succeed in Canada and prosper and pay taxes.
Yes, of course, yes.
And working for the government, yes, paying higher taxes.
Win-win for everyone.
Yeah, but we're gonna address it, and it's gonna help untold amount of people. We've got a doctor shortage, we have a nurse shortage. This is gonna help on so many different levels. The economy will win, the community will win, tax coffers will win, but newcomers will win as well, which is just as important as all the other items. But it's near to dear to my heart, and it's one of the things I'm most focused on in this election and post-election is getting this task force working so we can recognize certifications from abroad. We have too many engineers who are driving Uber, which is great work, but still too many engineers, too many nurses who are not being able to participate.
Underemployed. We don't fully utilize the skills which they were trained for.
100%.
Yeah. And if I may add, as Canadians, if we go to
best to serve Canadians. Canadians will be served, and so will the newcomers. It's a win-win all around, and it's long overdue.
In the best
I'm
interest of
dedicated
Canadians.
100%. It's one of my top priorities.
Well, Kelley, I don't have any more questions.
No.
Do you wish to recap or add to your campaign advocacies and platforms that you have mentioned a while ago?
Just thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be, laugh the guinea pig. It's a pleasure to be the first person. The Filipino community is very important to me. My church is about 85% Filipino. They teach me Tagalog bit by bit, so I can order chicharron at Jollibee.
Which church do you go to, Kelley? Which church?
I go to Annunciation.
Oh, Annunciation on the West.
Yeah, very proud. 4th degree Knight of Columbus, as several of you are. No, this election to me, it's all about service. You have to have a servant's heart to be a member of Parliament. And I'm hoping that we as a society can end the division that we see going on right now, east, west, vax, unvax. So we need to come together as a country, grow as a country together, and move forward. And my goal is to get all of us moving back to serving Canadians. And every action we do, we should be answering the question, is this serving Canadians? And get away from the cynical politics of, is this action going to get us more votes? Is this divisive action or divisive announcement going to get more votes for such and such party? We need to get back to answering the question, does this action serve Canadians? And that's my goal for this election and moving forward. Having the country grow, come out of this horrible pandemic together. We've got obviously the greatest country in the world, but we need to pull together and move forward together and not pull each other apart for political gain.
Wonderful, Kelley. Before we end, folks, let me acknowledge and give thanks to the following. First of all, our special guest here, Mr. Kelley McCauley. The fabulous Palabok House restaurant,
Yes.
where we do our live broadcast now. Especially our dear friends, Sir Eddie Gonzalez and Sister Lydia Jimenez, and the wonderful staff of Palabok House.
Yeah, if I can interrupt for a second, I've eaten several times at Palabok House. The food is amazing. So Eddie, thanks very much. Just a little promotion for you, but it really is. It's a phenomenal restaurant, and I hope we can get our program working where we can get the Monday to Wednesday people brought in. But it's a great place, so thanks very much for hosting today.
Yeah, we also like to thank and acknowledge great people behind this interview and program. Of course, our president, Mr. Nicky Gokwan, president of the Philippine Media Association in Alberta. Mr. Moses Vilacura, our hardworking secretary and in charge of media relations. And of course, the man behind the camera, Mr. Brother Knight, Harry Bonillo, Rudy Bonillo, for the fabulous coverage and live stream as well. And of course, on behalf of the PMAA, Kelley, we want to thank you again for being with us here.
My honor.
We wish you all the best in the coming election. We cannot endorse you because we are a non-partisan organization, but we wish you all the best.
Well, thanks very much. And again, I look forward to seeing other shows. And it's great to see everyone here. Bro Knight, I was laughing one day with him that he travels, he opens up his passport and actually says Bro Knight. Well, thanks for having me and wish you all success with this program. It's been fun.
Let's enjoy now our coffee, Kelley.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.